So let's talk about the Unrivaled ratings. They weren't good. And Unrivaled's really got to figure something out for season 2. They really do. They really have to figure something out because simply putting a bunch of all-stars in the in the same building and not having any real rivalries outside of when Angel Reese talks so much trash that it makes other opponents want to beat her, and 4 of 6 teams not really wanting to be there. I'm not going to say the latest. 3 of 6 teams just there for a vacation, and players care more about their workouts than they do about the games they play, and half of the players picking up some injuries. It has a lot of growing pains, and we can be honest because Unrivaled, the best thing for women's basketball is that Unrivaled succeeds, and anyone wanting Unrivaled to fail, it's just pointless because that's less basketball. For any basketball fan, the more basketball there is a good thing, regardless of what gender the basketball is, what type of basketball it is. I do think there has to be something. There has to be some format change because the format it's in right now is not it. It is not it at all. The 10 most watched women's basketball games on TNT sports platforms all time. Have TNT ever showed a WNBA game? Like, we can be honest, have they ever showed that? Average viewers on TNT True TV versus Unrivaled regular season game. It peaked at 364,000 viewers. It peaked at 364,000 viewers on TNT. Like, that's not good. Peaked at 385,000. That's not good for the final. It had less viewers than the 1v1 competition. Like, it's up 99%. That's not good. Like, it averaged like 150,000. It had days where it was in the tens of thousands. It had 90,000 concurrent viewers on TNT. This is TNT in the United States. And there were live streams, which was if you were outside America and you wanted to watch it, you had to go out of your way to watch it. And if you went out of your way in America to watch it, I'm not joking when I say this, there were times where the live streams had 500 viewers. At least the finals, at least the playoffs had over 1,000, and the finals had 2,000. But outside of America, there was more hype for the first Saturday, which was the second day, than there was for the final as far as viewership goes. The format did not work. And you can see by the fact the finals of Unrivaled had 10% of the viewers of the NBA finals. 10% of the WNBA finals, sorry. Like, they had they had 10% of Caitlin Clark versus the Connecticut Sun viewers. Actually, no, a bit more than 10%, probably like 15%. That's not good. Like, they had what? Like, it was over 2 million watch Caitlin Clark versus Enrique. Like, Caitlin Clark was getting 600,000 people to watch her play against the Atlanta Dream on NBA TV. Like, these aren't good numbers compared to what the WNBA were pulling. And the problem is that this league is spending more money in the WNBA. The problem is that this league is being bankrolled by a lot of rich people who will not probably be bankrolling this league long term. We saw it with the Steph Curry thing. Steph Curry was announced as an investor in December, and they made a big deal about it when people were obviously talking about how the league wasn't doing well, and suddenly Steph Curry's being announced as an investor, even though he was an investor months earlier. Like, it is right now, it's just a situation where it's not that it's a bad situation for Unrivaled to be in, because I'm not going to go that far, because I don't think it's a bad situation by any means for Unrivaled to be in, the way they are right now. But things need to get better. They do. Like, they are right now at a situation where by the end of season 2, it has to be they have to be doing something a bit different. Like, if they have another season where the numbers are the same, if not lower, they're gonna really it's gonna really struggle long term. And if this is not a 5-on-5 league next year, you're not gonna bring in Caitlin Clark. You're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna convince Aja Wilson anyway. But if this is not 5v5, you're not gonna bring in Caitlin Clark. And the only chance you have of bringing in Caitlin Clark is if she regresses coming into year 2. If she regresses coming into year 2, which she's not gonna do, then she could make the argument that, oh, you know, all these players got better in Unrivaled and it's better than working out. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I genuinely don't think that's going to be the case at all. So yeah, it's overall it's okay. The viewership has not been great. And the viewership for the finals was not what I think they would have hoped, especially with how much money they're pumping into this. Like, they are pumping $100 million into Unrivaled, and it's pulling in 300,000 views. I don't know what, like, obviously the viewership numbers are the viewership numbers. Like, for TNT have put the money in anyway, and clearly with the way TNT execs have spoken, there's no, like, get out clause, especially early on in the year. There's not going to be a get out clause. And with that being the case, like, they're like, they've got another year. And I think Unrivaled really has to. They got one more year where they've got to go for it. They got to go for it, and they got to make sure that they do every single thing possible to make the league a success in year 2. Because, again, as I've said, this year was their free hit. This year, there were mistakes made. Clearly, there were mistakes made. There were things that did not work out the way they would have hoped. And you can always have the excuse of, it was the first year, how are we meant to know? But coming into next year, that excuse no longer flies. They have now got to, at all costs, make this league, like, make the league better and more, like, watchable for, you know, people that maybe aren't super fans of the WNBA, because there are a lot more casual fans that tuned in for Caitlin Clark, that tuned in for Rika, tuned in for these other people, than there were super fans of WNBA. And it seemed like the only people that you got were the super fans of WNBA and people that came from Iowa, because Iowa seemed to be where the most viewers came from. Anyway, yeah, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys think that I'm being wrong and these viewers are great, or what? Anyway, I'll see you guys.